welcome to my podcast / channel, because I don't know which one this is going to be for. Today I have Mike Chang and my cousin Lois, and we're going to be talking about our journeys with spirituality and connecting with our bodies and all that stuff. So this is just a little introduction to you and you. Well, people know me.
People know me.
So just
I'm
tell us a little
here.
bit about yourself and your background, and yeah.
So I grew up in the States, and I was best known for fitness. I had a YouTube channel called Sixpackshortcuts, where we taught guys how to get abs, how to get in shape, how to eat right, things like that. And then about 5 years ago, I left the company and I dived into learning more about spirituality, learning more about the inside, like emotions and feelings. And now I'm coming back into business after taking that time off to go and share everything that I've discovered.
How was that like transition
Yeah.
for you? Because obviously you're going from being super in the public eye to like being the guy like, oh my god, this is how you get a six-pack, to like now being the guy who's teaching more about like mind, body, spirit stuff. How was that transition for you?
I find that people are always wanting the same thing as before. There's so many people, it's kind of like half-half. Some people are interested in things that I'm talking about, and I'm glad, and there's some people that's like, all right, well that's great, Mike, but show me how to go ahead and build bigger biceps, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, here's what you do this exercise, do it for this amount of sets, and things like that. And so I feel that it's okay because I have a lot of value to share regarding fitness and things like that, and it hasn't been my biggest interest, but I find that because I know how to do it, I'm still happy to share it. You know, I just find it's kind of where somebody is at. I was really big into fitness and really big into aesthetics and changing the way my body looks. And now that I'm a little older, I'm like, okay, I want to feel better and have better emotions. And I know there's a lot of young people out there that really just coming into their own, and they just want to look good. That's just kind of where they're at in their life. So I'm happy to share what I know about that.
I think there's a really, really interesting connection with especially men and women who just want to do fitness and work out for like the physical body and not ever do the inward journey. So that's really interesting that especially as you get older, you got to focus more on your internal body. I think there's just a stigma around men having to be like the tough, like the big
six-pack, big
juiced
biceps,
up, like
big guns.
workout person. But like I think a lot of people, especially in the fitness area space, don't really ever talk about like the internal journey that also comes with it. Like it's hard to like get to the gym every day, and it's more like a mental
the mindset that goes with it when you start with the practice. So how did you train your mind to just do things every day?
I think that part was really easy for me because coming in fitness, you have to train every day. You have to learn how to eat right. So that aspect of discipline wasn't really difficult for me personally, and I have a lot of experience in helping people how to develop that. The challenge was diving into like my emotions and knowing how I feel, and also communicating it with people without feeling like I'm being too feminine, I'm like a woman. It's funny, so just earlier, coming back from lunch, I met a friend, this guy who became friends. He actually, he knows Mike Vestil, and we were talking, and he was talking about how he wanted to do more yoga. He knows it's good for him, but he still has this stigma around yoga only be for women, and you know, he's too much of a man. And he realizes that this is happening and he's trying to overcome it, but he's not quite there yet. And I remember when I started doing yoga about 7 years ago, there was a little of that idea also, and I think because I saw it as I'm just going to be more flexible, I didn't see it as, because I think
a woman exercise.
it's because I was working out so much that it didn't matter if I did something extra, because I still have that part of me that makes me manly. And then when I started to go on this journey and I stopped working out with weight, and I just primarily did a lot of yoga, a lot of stretching, a lot of meditating, I did find, you know, that I became a little more feminine, but more softer. And it was a little strange to start off with because I hang out with my old friends, the way they spoke and how they're so aggressive, you know, this like, oh yeah, fuck that, oh yeah, chest bump, you know, it's like, and I'm sitting there, I'm staring, I'm like, okay, this is how it used to be, you know, I'm just kind of, and they're like, yeah, what do you think, Mike? Okay, well, and they're like trying to like bring out this macho-ness because they feel like that's how they, I think it's just that's how they're expected to be, and if they aren't that way, maybe they're not going to have like the same type of
respect
respect, self-respect, maybe respect from other guys. Other guys are gonna look down on me. Women are gonna think I'm too much of a girly man and they're not gonna be interested. So the last thing they wanna do is kind of go into that area.
I actually had this conversation with a group of my friends. It was like equally men and equally women, where we were talking about like men portraying this image, but not necessarily to attract the female, but to impress like their male friends. Like they don't want to look too feminine in front of their guy friends, when actually I feel like most women like to see the emotional side of a man. Not necessarily like, not saying that crying is bad, but like typically people are like, oh, men don't cry, men don't do this, men don't feel emotions, blah, 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 blah. That's just a stigma that there is. But for me, whenever I see a guy that's open up and in tune with their emotions, it's always more attractive to me. It's always more attractive. But then when I had this conversation with the guy friends I was talking about, they were like, very much like, no, it's not, like girls don't like that. And they were talking to a group of girls and all the girls were like, no, we do. And like the only reason you are actually thinking that is because you're worried about what the guys think. Like you're in a room full of guys and you don't want to look too feminine because you're worried about what they might think. And it's interesting because it's like, obviously you want to attract, whether, like, not saying that it's like the opposite sex because it could be the same sex, but you always think you're trying to impress the opposite sex. But it was just an interesting conversation where like they weren't doing things because they thought the woman wanted it, but their subconscious wants to impress their guy friends.
You know what's interesting about that is guys like that are saying, no, women want a man who feels like they can protect them, who's strong enough, who can defend them. They have this mentality and they will find the women that are wanting that. But here's the interesting thing. Women that are really, like, they find that feature of a man so important, those women are very afraid. They're so afraid, so they want like this protection, right? They want this guy to be super scary and super macho because they feel so safe, because without this super macho manly figure, they feel like their security is at stake and they don't feel comfortable. So the problem with being with those women is they have so much insecurity inside. And so yeah, these women are gonna be all over you. Oh my God, you're my perfect man. But they're using you as a shield. They don't love deep inside of you. They need you to compensate
to fill in the void.
Yeah, that fearfulness inside. And so what's gonna happen is this person can be like, oh right, yeah, she loves me and all this stuff, but someday they're gonna find that, oh, I wish she would do this, I wish she would do that. And what they're looking for is a woman who's confident. Who's like confident and like comfortable in their own skin, confident in their own sexuality and all these things, expressive, and they'll complain, God, I don't get why, you know, why don't she just tell me if she wanted this or wanted that? Why does she not say anything? Well, because you have the type of woman that's afraid to express, afraid to ask what she wants. That's so true. That's why she wanted a guy like you. And that's the thing, I think when men start to realize that, if you want all these things in a woman, well, you need to be a different man to attract that type of woman. If not, you would always attract these, you know, kind of, you know, these real fearful women. So that's I find that.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I think it also ties back to like going back to the spirituality side. The more you kind of connect with your inward journey, the more you start to understand like why these things come up, why you're feeling these insecurities, why these men are trying to feel like they have to be this person. And then it ties back into childhood trauma, to all this other stuff that happened in their past that they didn't even know they were holding on to, that they've carried with them for so long. Even like with me, I never started to realize that like things from my childhood affected me until literally I moved to Asia, started going to all these spirituality events and retreats, and like people were asking me really hard questions where I'd be like, be triggered and remember something that happened from my childhood where I'm like, what? That's really random that that's being triggered right now because it's something that I thought was irrelevant. But it's really interesting. Most of our actions now and our habits now are things we learned in our like first couple of years of being alive. Like our relationship with our partners, well, our relationship with money, our relationship with all those different aspects of our lives that we've learned through watching our parents, through watching the people around us, just by being in that environment. And I think when it comes to the people who try to put up this front of being a thing that's not necessarily them, it's because they felt like they either had to prove that to a father, a mother, a brother, or sister, and be that person because they felt like they had to prove to be that person growing up that like that's what this person, a future partner, would potentially want. And so that's just a really interesting aspect.
I feel like the more somebody understands how their thoughts work, how their emotions and how their feelings work, like how does those things affect each other inside of us, so this way we start to understand more about ourselves. I think people spend so much time learning and mastering their crafts and work or in passions and everything outside of the inner workings of themselves, but yet themselves is the most important thing that allows all creation that they do to happen, but they don't understand enough of it. It's almost like they just need this thing that they call the body, this thing they call their mind. They just need it to work. They just need it to function in order to do what it is they want to do, and they're satisfied. And it's really strange because they can only reach certain levels of success. At some point, they have to address this resistance that's inside. And I feel like as we evolve more and more, people, younger generations are starting to go ahead and learn these things, start to look at these traumas, start to understand how it works. So they don't have to wait till people like me that are in their late 30s now and people that are in their 40s and 50s going, whoa, I didn't realize I've been carrying this around and all this stuff. I think it's becoming younger and younger, and I think eventually it will be common knowledge. I believe in another generation or two, and we won't have these issues. So it's coming together.
So too. I feel like people are waking up and asking themselves harder questions. Why you are the way you are? Why do I act a certain things? And like just really understand your journey inward so that you can be more authentic in your life. Because once you understand your actions based on like what you really want, not because this is what your parents wanted, this is what you're influenced by your environment, but once you actually realize who you are, what you want from this, how you heal from everything that you do from all your past, that's when you actually live your life being your authentic self. I feel like that's when you thrive, when you know what you want authentically, not just like because this is what other people tells you to do.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely happening with the younger generation. I mean, I think it's also just been so, for me, like me growing up, I've pretty much grown up with technology just like being there. And so like I've had all this information kind of in front of me. Not my whole life, because it wasn't until like college that I really started diving into meditating and spirituality and like inward journey stuff. But it's so much more accessible where like your generation, I've been saying like
we're a different generation.
Your generation.
I was watching you when I was 2 years old.
Like you like were one of the YouTube starters, influencers, you know? And so that was just the beginning. And for me, like YouTube, I feel like has always been around. And so just having access to all that information, I felt like is now challenging. All these up and coming, you see all the like 10-year-old entrepreneurs, like, you know? And it's because they have so much information accessible to them, where like in the past that was never an option. It was just go to college, get a job, and no one ever questioned whether or not that was for them or anything along that nature. Where now that everyone's like passive income, like travel the world and make money online, like everyone's like, oh, like interested in learning more. And there's so many resources out there that exist where they could actually get that information. And so for me, I feel like I felt like literally 3 days after graduation, I was like, okay, I need to go to Asia, figure out like what I want in my life before I even, like I had job offers and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to Asia for a month. 8 months later, I'm still here. And so, but it was just really interesting because I was like, oh, okay, maybe in 2 months I'll get a job. Then like after I figure out what I want to do with myself, and I asked myself that question before even considering like taking this job. And I feel like that's just something that sets people 10 years older than me apart, because I actually, not saying that I'm like this awesome person, but like I feel like more people are asking themselves those challenging questions. Is this for me? Is college for me? And then that's why you're seeing like more people not going to college and like doing this whole working online thing. And it's a really interesting shift.
Yeah. The status quo is changing. Yeah. You know, I think there's different levels of freedom. There's different levels of like self-liberation that somebody will experience. On one level, somebody feels like they're a victim and they aren't able to change their lives, or not able to go after what they want, and they feel really trapped. So they watch videos, they go, you know, I can do it. They start to have belief in themselves. I always want to do this, and they start to be able to go for it. They let go of fear, and now they're actually doing it. They're traveling, they're pursuing the things they want. And then there's another level, because at that level there, if somebody stays there, if they're in the victimhood, they need to get to that level first. But at that level, if somebody doesn't evolve into the next, what happens is somebody will now have their happiness and their quality of life be dependent on the outcome of their business, the outcome of their love relationship, the outcome of their life. And therefore, the outcome of these things in their life will fluctuate. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And so therefore, their quality and their emotions will also fluctuate. Sometimes they're happy when things are going well, and they're not happy when things are going bad. At that point, the next level from there is to create happiness from the inside. And so a lot of times you find like celebrities or very, very successful people, once they've got the parts where they have full control over their lives, financial security and all of these things, now they go, oh wow, and now that I don't care about any of these things anymore because I have it all, I want to be able to actually dive in deeper and find out how to be happy. Now they start to get into understanding more about how to create happiness from within. People can actually get to that step faster instead of having to go and spend all this time to become successful in what they want, because by that time they may have developed such amount of habits and like be so attached to their identity of who they are that it's hard to transition into this next step. But I feel that people are going through these steps faster, and that they can get to this next step to eventually they're able to be happy without having to be successful in anything, simply because they found out how it actually works. How does somebody actually feel fulfilled without having to reach a certain level of success in what it is they want to do? And when they're able to tap into that level, now they're still going after what they want. They still have the same goals. Whether or not they achieve it doesn't affect the way they feel. And these type of people, they're always happy. At the worst, they're always okay. But they don't go through the fluctuation. And that's where people want to be. Because now, you can't control everything. People try, but they can't. I mean, it's just what it is. But when they get to this level, now life is always, at worst, it is always okay. But most of the time you'll find these people are cheerful, they're joyful, they're chilling, they're happy. No matter if they're working hard and things are going their way, they're always okay.
Damn,
that's
Mic
so
drop.
beautiful.
Yeah, seriously.
And so that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm like one of those people. My last business, I reached a level of success where I realized that it doesn't matter if I make more money or if I get recognized a little more. Like it doesn't matter, because there's no more joy from it. You know? And so when I had this realization, I started to dive into what really creates happiness. And so I went through many, many years of studying, and ultimately I find that it has to do with the level of consciousness that we are currently perceiving our life in. The way we perceive ourselves right now and the way we perceive our reality, ourselves, everything is based on the level of consciousness that we're currently in right now. So let's say if somebody is very angry, something happened, now they're angry. Their level of consciousness is at a certain vibrational frequency. And at that level, everything that they look at, there's this layer of anger. So their perception at best is something that has to do with blame, anger, hate, and all this stuff. And so therefore, no matter what's happening, they can have everything going well, but because their level of consciousness is there, they aren't able to be happy. They're not able to have a great experience. And so the idea I realize is all we have to do is get the level of our consciousness to be higher by simply raising the level of energy vibration that's in the body. There are different aspects that can do that. Eating healthy is good, because if we eat healthy, then our pipelines in our body, like our veins, our arteries, our capillaries, our energy meridians, all of those things are open. So now energy can flow well, and when energy can flow well, the vibration is higher. When movement does that, not being so tense, like being very loose, calm, and relaxed, and when that happens, the energy can flow really well in the body. Our level of consciousness automatically raises. We don't even have to try. Automatically it goes up. It's like you get a balloon and you fill it with a whole bunch of dirt. It just sinks automatically. The moment you get rid of the dirt, you don't even have to do anything. It automatically floats up. And so it's the same idea with the body. And when we do that, now our experience of life, it completely shifts and has nothing to do with knowing more information or doing anything out in our life. It literally just has to do with changing our perception. That's what I realized is the most powerful and the most important thing. And some people do this by accident, not realizing what they have done. They're just always in a good mood. But if you listen to them or you see their lifestyle, they have like really good habits that allow them to be healthy, and then they have certain mindsets that it just so happened that they don't realize why, but it's just they're always kind of this cheerful mood. And for me, I wasn't. I had anxiety, I had a lot of depression, I had all kinds of anger issues, and I had to like dive in and figure out what actually is causing it. And that's what I realized. We just need to change it.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I always notice.
Stop
Say
working
if I'm working way more than I'm taking care of my body and my health, like not going to the gym, not eating healthy just because I'm working, I'm more triggered by like the smallest little things where I'll like flip out or freak out or overthink of like anything. And I'm like, oh my God, everything's going wrong. But really it's just like in my body, I haven't moved in like 7 days and I'm not putting good things in. I genuinely find like when I am the most happy and most balanced in my life is when like my life is balanced, working out, eating healthy, working, social life.
Yeah.
As long as I'm able to find that balance, I feel like my level of happiness is always heightened. Where like if I fall into a hole of just working then it's just gone. Like
and there's nothing actually wrong with the other parts of your life.
Yeah.
But because you're in this low place, you're like, oh my God, this is wrong and this is wrong.
Yeah.
And that I think people get caught up in.
Yeah.
And instead of realizing, no, I just need to move my body around and get myself to feel better, and then suddenly I'm not mad at this person anymore, and this person doesn't have a problem.
Yeah.
Everything is cool.
Suddenly everything's okay.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that, and so they end up like breaking up with this person or changing this thing.
Yeah.
They leave their job, they have all this stuff because they think this is all wrong, and they never actually took care of their body. So now they move into the next thing only to recreate the same issues.
Same pattern.
My camera died. It's okay. I have it recorded on here. The camera died, and here we are.
Anyway.
I think a easy way for people who are listening or watching this is really just to start off with having some daily habits of taking care of your body and your mind. And I always tell people to do it first thing in the morning because it's before stuff gets in the way. Yeah.
Before you give something to other people, before working, just like have 10 minutes for yourself or 30 minutes for yourself.
Whatever amount of time somebody has.
Whatever.
And have it to be the same thing every time. And I mean, it can be flow training, it could be something else. It needs to be something that somebody enjoys. But no matter what it is, it needs to be the same thing all the time, because now somebody don't have to figure out what to do every morning.
It becomes automatic.
It
if
becomes
you do
automatic.
It every day.
We want to make sure that ourselves don't think ourselves out of doing this routine, this practice to take care of our body and mind. So now we can, because you guys heard of decision fatigue, to where you make too many decisions, you get burned out making decisions. So you don't want to start off your first decision, what should I do today? No, you just find a routine that works really well, that takes care of your body and mind, that you enjoy, and just do it every morning. So then now you always start off taking care of your body. Now your energy flows, your consciousness is automatically going to be higher, you're going to feel better, and then suddenly everything else in our life throughout the day is easier. And I think just starting off with that, things would just work out automatically much better.
True, girl, true.
Yeah, making decisions. I have decision fatigue all the time. I'm like, I don't want to think, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, like a lot of very successful people, they're known to wear like the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how do you guys feel about wearing the same thing every single day?
I just wear tubes all the time.
So you do that?
It's
I don't have that much clothes here.
Yeah.
So
I don't think about mixing and matching much because I just wear tubes all the time.
I just wear like the same version of everything every day.
With like different colors all the time.
Yeah.
So basically it's the same.
But like, if you're here in Bali, you can just be naked 24 hours of the day, which makes it easy. But yeah, that was cool.
Don't you have anything to like wrap things up?
Maybe. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have anything else?
No.
I don't really have a closing yet.
Yeah, you should like have a closing every time.
Alright, anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that and find inner spirituality and like find that balance in your life to create that level of happiness in your life, in your work life, in your social life, in your relationship. And yeah, this is Mike Chang. Thanks so much for being here. If anyone has any other questions about like this conversation, where can they find you?
You know, they can go to my Instagram, Mike Chang Official, or they could just look me up on YouTube. Just type in Mike Chang, and there's a lot of videos on there. I dive in and talk more about it.
We grew up watching him when we were 2.
When I was born, coming out of the womb, I was watching Mike Chang videos. He taught me how to get a 6-pack when I was 2 months old. I'm just kidding.